So, five connection mistakes quietly costing you property deals. What does that really mean? Welcome to the Property Mindset podcast, where I'm Emma Howitt, mentor, investor, and your guide to building wealth, freedom, and personal transformation through property. Property is not just about bricks and mortar, it's really about building the life that you truly desire. And in this space, we don't just talk about strategy, we really deep dive into mindset. And it's been something that I found is really missing in other industries but has been an absolute game changer, especially for me in the professional property circles. So, what are we talking about today? It's all about the five connection mistakes that's quietly costing you your property deals. Let's jump into that. So, let's turn dreams into actions and actions into success. So, five connection mistakes quietly costing you property deals. What does that really mean? Well, it's all about talking you through the five phases that can genuinely build connection in property. And that can be a whole host of things, can't it? So, whether you're working with investors, joint venture partners, landlords, guests, buyers, sellers, all of these things are around connection. And it's a real asset to have behind every deal, every referral, and every repeat booking as well. So, Patricia Fripp said, "You don't close a sale, you open a relationship." It's really powerful, actually. So, you don't close a sale, you open a relationship. So, by the end of this episode, you are going to have a really simple five-phase framework that you can use basically in every conversation, in every deal, so people can feel seen, safe, but also really excited to work with you to start with, but also to come back and work with you again. So we're going to say phase one is curiosity. And this is all about seeing the person, not just the property. And let's be fair, we're all about the property, aren't we? But it's really this kind of core strategy where normally it's understanding the human that's in front of you. And that could be their stories, their fears, their goals. And what we often do when we've in a property or we've got a property in front of us is we just look straight at the yield, the return on investment, the square footage. Is there an opportunity to add value? Can we add an extension? Can we add an extra room? But really, it's all about people and understanding how they feel first. When they feel understood, it can make such a difference in a deal. So, what do we need to do? So, it's all about asking questions. And, like we've always been told in the kind of sales process, you want to ask really open ended questions. So, questions where they don't answer yes or no. And that may be, what made you reach out to me today? What would a great outcome look like for you today? What are you most worried about? What has been your biggest concerns? There's just a really big, long old list of questions that we want to ask to really understand. And obviously, I talk about this a lot. We're a bit stiff upper lip, aren't we? In the us British. Um, Really think about when you ask more personal questions. So immediately asking, how much have you got left on your mortgage might be a step too far. But if you've really built up a relationship and you understand, oh, where are you moving to? Oh, you're moving to see, to live near your daughter-in-law and you've got five grandchildren there rather than a 5-hour drive that you've currently got, you really start to understand people. And once you've really empathized with them, it enables them to feel really comfortable. So when you start talking about, oh, have you still got a mortgage on the place? Oh, okay. Is it small or big? And people start to feel confident talking to you. The more you listen, okay, the more you'll hear. So remember, and I love this, you've got two ears and one mouth. So use them in those proportions. Dale Carnegie's classic book, I hope you've read it, but if you haven't, please read it, but also reread it. It's one of those that a couple of years ago I reread, and I feel I'm probably ready to read it again. How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it really reminds us that people feel valued when they're listened to, not when we impress them. So always try, and this is something I have to really sort of take a deep breath. You're often ready with the answer, aren't you? And you're thinking, oh, just stop talking so I can tell you about my response. So it's all about leaving those kind of pauses to allow them to keep talking. Because quite often, if you leave that pause, they'll suddenly give you some more information. Rebecca Radis, or Radis, I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. Her quote is, if you take a sincere interest in others, they'll take a real interest in you. Build relationships, don't collect them. Amazing. So that was phase one. Phase two is all about the clarity. So it's actually translating their story and starting to look into making a clear plan. It's all about s- once you've understood the person, then your role is to actually give them clarity. Perhaps a simple, really believable path from where they are now to where they want to be. So if they've got a challenging property that has not selling, you can give them confidence that there are options. So it might have been on the market for a year and they're feeling really overwhelmed, but you can give them some kind of solution. Most people, as I said, feel really overwhelmed, whether that's by information, it could be conflicting advice. They may have had a few um, estate agents that have promised them, £1 million, and then it's really only worth 250. It's so hard, isn't it? People are given so many different things, and it may be that you're working with an investor who's never lent money before, and it's really key that everyone feels calm and confident. So with you being calm and confidently giving us sort of a clear explanation is really what helps to create that connection and trust. And definitely don't start using fancy language. Let's just keep it to really plain language. Here's what I've heard, here's what I might suggest, but here are the risks and how we can manage them. So just very simple language that people can actually hear. Because if we start talking complex themes, complex words, if you're talking about a purchase lease option, goodness me, just don't mention those words. They're very confusing. It doesn't make sense. So talk about, agreeing a price now, but paying it in the future when, and I will manage it in between. Simple language. And really, when you focus on being a kind of trusted advisor rather than closing that deal, then that relationship will start to deepen and clients will want to stick with you. And you'll often find that, after those first couple of meetings, it might not work for them. But if you keep coming back, let's say 2 weeks later, a month later, and just saying, I'm just checking in, just making sure you're all right, you'd be amazed how then that still grows, that relationship still grows. So, a great quote by Scott Stratton: if you believe a business is built on relationships, make building them your business. Wow, that is really powerful. If you believe a business is built on relationships, make building them your business. And I've got some book recommendations all the way through this podcast, and I'll obviously put them in the show notes. So this one is Ninja Selling: Subtle Skills, Big Results. And that's by Larry Kendall. And it focuses on serving, advising, and really providing value rather than kind of being really salesy and pushing your agenda. And that really aligns perfectly with a connection first property business. So, next one, phase three, is all about consistency. And I kind of touched on that a minute ago. It's showing up in the same way every time. And connections grow with your words and when your actions are consistent. So your communication, your follow through, your standards. So if you say you're going to call back noon on Tuesday, call back noon on Tuesday. Um, take all their details down. Follow up with an email. Oh my gosh, this is just a huge one. So whenever you've had a conversation with anyone, whether it's somebody that you've met at a networking event, whether it's a landlord, whether it's a vendor, whether it's an estate agent, always follow up with an email. Because if we think about it, we only remember a small part of what has been said. I mean, there are statistics, aren't they? But the majority is kind of how they felt is what they remember. And, the way you looked, your body language, so actually, the words are a small part of it. So you want to reiterate in an email that is physically written and they can go through it time and time again to see what actually was said. And that can have so much clarity. So that's really good. So definitely consistently follow up. So remember, like I said, people will watch what you do more than actually what you say. So if you say you'll call, then call. If you say you'll send documents, then do it. If you say that you're going to give them an update, do it before they chase you. And consistency is not just a, one-off transaction in a relationship. It really helps you move forward from just another agent or just another investor to the person that I perhaps trust with my money, that I perhaps trust with my home. So it's all about really kind of discipline. And I talk about being persistently consistent and consistently persistent. So think about what disciplines do you need to grow to build your property journey? Is it the emails? Is it your check ins with your guests? Is it your systems? And what is it that can quietly build those connections and your reputation over time? Another quote by W. Edwards Deming is: profit in business comes from repeat customers. Customers that boast about your product or service and that bring friends with them. Very good. Book recommendation: The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Oh my gosh, this is just brilliant for understanding how these small, consistent actions in communication, in service, in follow up really create these huge long term results in business. So, phase four is care. And this is all about leading with service, not just a strategy. It is seeing how you can help them, how you can care about them, making decisions and having conversations that clearly put the other person's well being at the forefront, not just about your short term profit. So, really think about saying things like, I don't think this deal is right for you right now. If it's not right for them, advise them to go elsewhere. I know I've been on a training with one of the big training groups, and they were talking about, walk away from a deal, but always keep it on the back burner And then when things slightly change, then you can help them. But if you really can't help them and it's not going to be good for them, then don't do it. It might cost you a little bit, but remember, you want to play that long game. You want to get that trust. If you're ready to take your property journey to the next level, check out my Property Success Mindset Formula course on Udemy. Inside, you'll discover actionable strategies and exercises designed to shift your thinking, boost your confidence, and help you navigate property challenges with clarity. Whether you're just starting out or looking to break through to a new level, this course delivers the mindset tools professional investors use every day. Visit the link in the show notes to unlock your property potential. And remember, your biggest asset is not just your portfolio, but the way you think. Another really important one for me is thinking about your tenant experience, your guest experience, your investor experience. It's not just spreadsheets, it's about helping them understand you. And you've really got to understand them and respond how they want to be responded to. So it might be that they don't really like emails. I mean, my parents can't forward an email. So they are much better with a conversation, pick up the phone, speak to them. Other people, like, I love WhatsApp. It's just so quick, boom, quick response, and it's all done. So think about that. And it really is about designing a lifestyle, not just owning property. So how does your life and your lifestyle in interacting with others, in building relationships, create your business? And when you constantly act with someone's else's best interests at heart, then you definitely become this sort of trusted person and not just another contact in the phone book. So I've got a couple of book recommendations. One's Setting the Table by Danny Mayer. And this is actually all about enlightened hospitality and how putting people first drives a powerful, loyal business. And it's really massively relevant to kind of guests and client experience in property. The second one is The Go Giver by Bob Berg and John David Mann. This is a short story based book, but it's about leading with value and generosity in business relationships. So finally, phase 5 is all about community. It's turning those clients into advocates. And I mean, certainly in my mentoring, I'm always really touched when we have a new person coming on. And my mentors that have been with me for a number of months and are seeing changes and successes, how they start saying, "Oh, it's so great! You've come along and joined Emma." I'm like, "Oh wow, isn't that amazing?" And so it's transforming those individual relationships into a network of people that like, and trust. And I'm just a huge fan. I love connecting people. Um, if I think there's a really good app or there's a really amazing person, I'll join them together. You just never know how that person can help, progress somebody. So what could this be? It might be that you have a few of you who meet up. It might be investor meetups. You might go to small landlord support groups. It might be WhatsApp communities. I think we're all in those nowadays, aren't we? Um, what can you do around your guests or JV partners? It might be WhatsApp group for your tenants, online spaces where you might want to share some education, some encouragement. It's really powerful when people feel part of something much bigger than a transaction. They will want to stay for much longer, they'll want to refer more, and they'll want to support your growth through those ups and downs. It really is relationships are the foundation. It keeps a business afloat long term. And actually, amazingly, technology can really help you scale, but it's clearly still the human network that keeps you relevant. Another quote by Alfred A. Montepert: all lasting business is built on friendship. A book recommendation: Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. This is focused on building genuine networks, communities, not just contacts. But this is really useful for kind of investors, agents, operators who want to build that loyal ecosystem around their own property business. So these were going through the 5 connection mistakes that if you don't take them on could cost you your property deals. So just going back and reminding you what they were is phase one is curiosity. See the person, not just the property. Number two, clarity. So understanding much, much more and turning their story into a pathway that is mutually going to work for you guys. Number three of phase three is consistency. Showing up the same, doing as you say, being consistently persistent, persistently consistent. Phase four is care. So really think about leading with service, not just, a straight on strategy. And phase five is community. So turning those clients into advocates. So remember, you don't need to be like the loudest person in the room or the biggest player in the market to build these powerful relationships. You really just need to commit to moving through these phases. And every time you connect with somebody in your property world, it's great to have it just in the back of your head. So that was all about 5 connection mistakes that could quietly be costing you your property deals. And please remember that property success really isn't just about what you do, it really is about how you think. And when you combine a strong strategy with an unstoppable mindset, there's literally no limit to what you can achieve. So do reflect on what I've spoken about today and consider, what is that one thing I'm going to do? Am I going to implement a better follow up system? Am I going to write a big old long list of all those open ended questions that I can ask? What is it that you're going to add in and take that one action that is going to help you move closer to your property goal? And if this episode has made you realize that it's not just strategy, but it's the way that you're showing up in a relationship that could be costing you deals and referrals, a perfect next step to work on is the one who sits at the center of every connection, and that's us, that's you. So do go and listen to episode 30, where it talks about from support act to lead role. And that is property success through self leadership. And in this episode, I walk you through how to stop downplaying yourself, how to become the most valuable person in your own network, and how to bring a stronger, more grounded version of you into every client, investor, tenant interaction. And if you're ready to stop feeling like you're constantly chasing and instead become that person that people naturally trust and want to work with, then episode 30 is for you. That will help you build that self leadership and confidence. So do go and listen to that now. And as always, if you know someone struggling on their property journey, please do share this episode. It could be the game changer that they need. And as always, remember that the more people that we help, actually, the greater our own wealth in every sense of the word. And growing this community means growing the potential that we all have to succeed. And finally, as always, your mindset is your greatest property. Keep building it.